We are just one day after the 2025 draft and 2 days ahead of NHL free agency. It's been a very, very busy NHL news cycle today. We're taking a look at some trade rumors involving a handful of teams, including the Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, and the New York Islanders, and a few others. Plus, we had some big signings today, including Matthew Knies, Claude Giroux, and a few others. We're going to take a look at the latest UFA talk around some of the unsigned players, including Aaron Ekblad. We also had a buyout today in Seattle. Big update as well on Vegas Golden Knight defenseman Alex Pietrangelo. Could be looking at a potentially season lost or maybe even career-ending injury, and the Dallas Stars appear to have a new head coach. We'll discuss all that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to discuss here in today's video. It's been a very busy news cycle. Let's first recap some of the information we talked about on the channel earlier today. We had a handful of signings, including a couple of big ones. The first one of the day came with the Ottawa Senators announcing they've brought back veteran forward Claude Giroux on a one-year deal. We've been hearing for quite some time that both parties had every intention of making it work. Giroux did not want to leave his hometown, and the Senators badly wanted him back, but they were haggling over signing bonuses. Well, they finally get everything rectified and agreed to here today. Claude Giroux agrees to a 1 year, $2 million salary. So that's a huge help for the Ottawa Senators to be able to do other things with their cap space and round out the rest of the roster. So $2 million in salary. He does have a no move clause for the season, which is obviously something that you wouldn't expect him to be traded anyway, so it's really not a big deal. And the other money in the deal is all in bonus structure, where he's over 35. You can do a 1 year bonus laden deal. He can earn up to $4.5 million in total. We have games played bonuses at the 20, 30, and 60 game mark, earning him $250K a piece. There's another one where he can earn, basically it's $500 in total, $250K for playing 50 games and the team making playoffs. And then, of course, there's also bonuses included for winning in the playoffs. So winning the first round, he would get $500K. Winning the second round, another $250. Winning round 3, there'd be $500K. If they won the Stanley Cup, there would be another $500K. And then the only contingency there is he has to play in at least 50% of the games in the playoffs for those playoff bonuses to be paid out. So obviously, generally speaking, I mean, I'd expect them to hit all the games played bonuses. And I mean, they were a playoff team last year. I would suspect they have a good chance of being a playoff team next year. So at the very least, you're looking at $1 million to 1.25 extra, which if they can absorb that money, great. And if they can't, it can go towards next year's cap. Obviously, success in the playoffs, it's difficult to say right now, but obviously there's lots of incentives there for him if they should have some playoff success this year. Matthew Knies and the Toronto Maple Leafs agree to a 6-year pact as well, preventing him from being an offer sheet target here in a couple days. 6 years at $7.75 million. I know based on AFP analytics, they had him projected at a 7-year deal in the low sevens. So that's pretty close to what they, and to be honest, they're my go-to resource, and they're usually very, very accurate in how most contracts turn out. So all in all, the rumor was that Knies wanted a shorter term. And the Leafs wanted a longer term, so they kind of met in the middle here. I believe Knies would have preferred a 4-year deal. The Leafs were pushing for 8. They went halfway in between. 7.75. I don't think it's like amazingly good, but I think it's fair based on some contracts we've seen with other younger wingers that have hit similar goal totals early towards the end of their rookie contracts, like Peterka and Boldy and a few others. I think it's a very reasonable contract, and he should grow into this if he can continue to be a big player for them. And really, with the expected loss of Mitch Marner, his role is only going to grow with the club. If he can be a consistent 30-goal guy, it should be a slam dunk. Also, with the cap projections that we're seeing, with the amount of increases we're supposed to get in the next couple of years, by year 3 of that contract, it'd be like equivalent to about a $6 million deal today. So it really should age well. As long as he doesn't completely shock us here and fall off a cliff, everything should be just fine, and this should be a very good deal long-term here for the Leafs. A bunch of other signings as well, some smaller ones, but one of the other ones that were pretty good today was Columbus getting Dante Fabbro locked up. 4-year deal at $4.125 million. The right shot defenseman ended up in Columbus after being put on waivers by Nashville, and I think it's fair to say that they were quite pleased with the pickup and kind of found some form and played some big minutes for the Blue Jackets. So Fabbro sticking around in Columbus is a good thing for them. It's a good fit there. The Ducks also, this one's confusing. The Ducks signed goalie Ville Husso, who was a pending unrestricted free agent with them. 2-year deal at $2.2 million. They just traded John Gibson for Peter Mrazek and some other stuff in there, but still they get Mrazek back on that deal. Lucas Dostal's their starter. Now they get Husso signed. After they traded for Mrazek, I was like, oh, okay, well, Husso's obviously going to go. So don't quite get that one. Are they going to flip Mrazek maybe, or I don't know, maybe buy him out? I'm not sure what they're going to do, but this seems weird to me. There's got to be another something coming that'll hopefully make it make more sense. A couple other quick ones as well. The Sharks signed goalie Gabriel Carrier, 1-year, 2-way deal. The Islanders have also signed a couple of I guess you could call them call-up options, guys that likely play mostly in Bridgeport, but have a decent amount of NHL experience that they can be up and down the lineup if need be. Liam Foudy and Julien Gauthier both get 1-year, 2-way contracts. Of course, we got our first buyout in a few days here today as well, with youngster Joe Veleno, still young, and of course just recently traded. So where he's under the age of 26, it's a 1/3 buyout, so it saves a ton of money. He was making $2.275 million for the upcoming year, where it's a 1/3 buyout. The Kraken saved $1.5 million, knocking his cap hit down pretty close to what a league minimum contract would be. And then, of course, they have an extra cap hit next year, where it's spread out over twice the period of time for $290,000. So Veleno was just acquired from the Blackhawks. Some people might be asking, well, why would Seattle trade for him and buy him out a few days later? And the answer to that is Chicago probably planned to do the same thing, and they tried to get him off the books as well, just rather than do the buyout. And the Blackhawks probably needed the Kraken to take somebody off their hands. And in this case, they're like, okay, well, we'll take him and buy him out. We get a small cap hit out of it, so we help Chicago out a little bit to make that trade to move off of the Burakovsky contract. And in return, they get their roster spot back by buying him out. So it's seen something like, it's not a common thing, but it is something you see usually a few times a year. So not a huge shocker there. Veleno, unfortunately, has not quite lived up to the hype. Maybe one more fresh start, hopefully, will get him going. He's kind of bounced around here a couple teams here in the last just short times. Connor Sheary also is looking for a new contract. He and the Tampa Bay Lightning, though, have mutually agreed to terminate that contract, which had 1 year left on it and $2 million. Sheary was kind of frustrated with the fact he was stuck in the minors. They never had room to call him up, even no matter how well he played down there. And he wants to get NHL time, feels he deserves it after a pretty decent career. So he went to the Lightning and requested a termination so that he could search for a new contract on his own and hopefully get a chance to play more somewhere else. A few other updates as well when it comes to some injuries and some UFA stuff. Aaron Ekblad and the Florida Panthers apparently still have a huge gap. It's still looking more and more likely that he will test the market and end up in free agency. The odds of him leaving, I think, are pretty decent, but I know the Panthers are still trying to see what they can do to convince him to stay. But basically the way it looks is if he's going to stay in Florida, he's probably going to take a pretty significant haircut on his contract in both dollars and term. So we'll see. There's really no new updates on Brad Marchand today. But as more time ticks by, you have to think that, things obviously aren't coming together as quickly as we need, but we still have another full day tomorrow before free agency, so wouldn't be shocked if they figure it out. I mean, all signs still point to there being a decent chance Marchand stays in Florida, but there's still lots of talk. If he hits free agency, he will not have a hard time having a shortage of options. Jonas Brodin, the solid defenseman for the Minnesota Wild, is obviously going to be having a surgery this offseason and will not be ready to start the next campaign. So in the fall, he's likely going to be missing training camp in the beginning of the season, which is a big blow for Minnesota. He plays a lot of minutes and one of the better defensive defensemen in the NHL as well. So they will be starting the season without him, which we know. So that gives them an LTIR option if need be, but clearly it won't be for too long. So probably won't be seeing them use that space a whole heck of a lot. The other more important injury here is we're hearing that Vegas Golden Knights alternate captain and right shot defenseman Alex Pietrangelo is now confirmed, or at least by the reporters. The team hasn't announced anything, but it's been on enough authority from NHL insiders that he is going to be having some multiple major surgeries this offseason, and he will not play the upcoming 25-26 season. Some think there's a decent possibility, we'll have to wait and see, of course, that his career might be over. So I don't know exactly what the injuries are. Of course, whatever he was dealing with that caused him to pull out of the Four Nation tournament. Certainly he tried with a little bit of rest around the tournament to kind of gut it through the rest of the season. So, I mean, clearly it was something he could play through. I mean, obviously, he wanted to try. Now I think it's at a point where he probably feels he doesn't really have a choice but to have surgeries and get things looked after. We don't know the details exactly, just that whatever it is he's going through, that his body's pretty beat up and that he needs to have multiple major surgeries. So we're hearing next season he's not going to play. Now I can't absolutely 100% say he would not play in the playoffs either, because we don't really know the details of the surgery or what kind of timelines we're looking at for potential recovery and all that. I mean, obviously, if he comes back in game one of the playoffs, that's going to be pretty sketchy. And we know that with the new CBA, there's going to be some loopholes kind of closed off here with the LTIR stuff changing, but that's not going to be effective next year. The new CBA would not kick in until the year after. So I know there's already lots of comments on some of the posts on social media saying, it's Vegas. Of course, they haven't won in a couple of years. They're probably pulling the old LTIR, trick here again. And I can't say that they're doing that at all. I mean, it sounds like this guy's dealing with some pretty serious stuff, and we'll have to wait and see. The team has not yet confirmed it. I know they've been asked in their media availabilities here, Kelly McCrimmon, in recent days, and they said they'd have an update soon, but they haven't officially released it. But like I said, we've had 2 or 3 NHL insiders kind of confirm that story of missing next year due to multiple major surgeries, so we have it on pretty good authority. Now, another big piece of news that has not been announced yet as I record this, but it could be any time now, but it's been, again, by enough NHL insiders that will take it as legit. But the next head coach of the Dallas Stars is going to be Glenn Gulutzan. Gulutzan, of course, used to coach the Stars in the past. So one point was the head coach there before. Pretty long time assistant coach lately with the Edmonton Oilers. Also was a head coach for I think it was a year or two in the Calgary Flames organization. He's been around the league a long time. Very well-respected coach. I know a lot of people that have been coached by him had a lot of great things to say here today as the news is kind of starting to percolate and spread that he's going to be the next head coach in Dallas there again. So after a long stretch, it's nice to see him get an opportunity. In respect to that as well, this looks like Neil Graham, who coached the Dallas Stars farm team, was the runner-up, so to speak. And then there's some speculation he could be offered a spot on the bench, maybe in a different capacity as an assistant coach, so we'll have to see about that. Obviously, Glenn Gulutzan leaving to be the head coach of the Dallas Stars would open up a spot on the Edmonton Oilers bench, and there's a lot of speculation around the Oilers anyway, which we'll jump into next, saying that we could see significant change on the bench. Clearly, head coach Chris Knobloch's not going anywheres. According to Stan Bowman, he is going to be entering the final year of his contract, and of course, they've been very pleased with Knobloch's results so far in 2 consecutive Stanley Cup finals to start his run as head coach there. So they do want to get a contract extension done with Knobloch sometime, ideally over the summer before next season starts. They really don't want him going into the season as a lame duck coach. So expect that to come out. Not sure how quickly it'll come together, but sometime in the near future. And the belief is that they were going to be making some other changes on the Oilers bench. There's speculation they're going to switch the goalie coach. So I believe that's Dustin Schwartz, so he might be out. We know Gulutzan appears to be leaving for this Dallas job, and I'm not sure what other changes. I had heard some speculation, I'm not sure if this is true or not, that Paul Coffey might not be, and this wouldn't be a case of him being let go or anything, just that he might not want to be on the bench anymore. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I know when he first took that position, I don't think he had it in mind to do it long term. We'll see if he remains being the D coach or not. Clearly, the guys that are there have been learning a lot from him, so we'll see about that. But either way, there's going to be some changes to the Oilers bench besides Gulutzan leaving for that job. With Dallas and other Oilers news, there is an expectation that we should see an Evan Bouchard contract here pretty soon. Elliot Friedman was reporting in his latest podcast today that it looks like sometime by July 1st, if not maybe even tomorrow, we'll see that the expectation is Bouchard will sign a contract extension, and the belief it's going to be probably around 4 years. Instead of going long term, they're going to go like midterm to keep the AAV down a little bit and give the Oilers a little bit more breathing room with their cap. Expect it to be somewhere around the $9.5 million mark. I know the belief was if they were to go 7 or 8 years that it was going to come in over 10. So this will help a little bit. We'll see. But that will be another offer sheet target that will be off the market here, as we've seen a few others here in recent days, like Joel Hofer, Matthew Knies, and now Bouchard. Like I said, it's not done yet, but it's expected to be done here sometime before free agency officially opens. And the other Oilers rumor that seems to be continues to pop up here and from different resources that they keep expressing interest, according to some, in Montreal Canadian defenseman Mike Matheson. Since the deal became official that Noah Dobson was becoming a Montreal Canadian, clearly they have a lot of defensemen there, and I wouldn't be shocked to see the Habs trade a D or more. I mean, they've got more than enough. They didn't give up any D in that trade, so could Matheson go? He could. Before that trade happened, there was some talk at the draft combine that the Habs were talking to his camp about a potential extension. Now, I know he's got a long-lasting relationship with Ken Hughes. They really value him, I know, as a person off the ice and leadership and all that. So I don't know that this is really a legitimate rumor, but there does seem to be enough people are talking about it that I do wonder if there's something to it. I mean, this might be more of a case of the Oilers being interested in him, but to be honest, if you look at the Oilers blue line, I don't really know that Mike Matheson is what this team needs. Listening to Stan Bowman talk at the end of season and what they kind of projected their needs were going to be and what they would be working on, he seemed pretty confident that he really liked their decor and that the main focus was going to be trying to upgrade the goaltending, and they were going to have a lot of decisions to make in the forward group. And this rumor suggests, and it keeps popping up, that they're looking at Matheson and they might be willing to talk about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I'm like, no, they're not trading nudes, for one. Secondly, he's got trade protection, and I don't see him wanting to leave Edmonton, especially to move him for a defenseman like Matheson. Nothing against Matheson. He's a good, great skater, good puck mover. I know there's parts of his game that can be frustrating at times, but overall, pretty good D. But you've got Bouchard there. You've got Kulak. You've got Nurse. I mean, I know Nurse has his faults, but obviously when it comes to offensively, on the left side, especially where he shoots left, I don't really see it being a massive upgrade. So I don't know that rumor really makes any sense, but I just wanted to bring it up because I keep seeing it online, but I don't think there's anything to it. It just doesn't seem to. It seems to be confusing. It was more of a Montreal media thing, and the ones that I've seen talking about it most are more on the Montreal side. Keep saying that they keep hearing Edmonton has interest in Matheson. I'm like, okay, no, I don't really think that makes sense. I mean, you never know. Crazier things have happened, but I don't see that really being a thing. Across the province now, we'll go to the Calgary Flames. Rasmus Andersson is still a player getting a lot of attention. The Calgary Flames, though, appear to be quite patient. And to be honest, I don't know how this is trending. I would not be one bit surprised if a Rasmus Andersson trade, if it does materialize, that it's something that maybe happens after free agency, because it sounds like the asking price is high enough that teams that have inquired are not getting to a point where obviously they're able to get it across the finish line. So this sounds to me like I said, Calgary's being patient. They already made it clear they do not mind going into the season with him on their roster, and that they've already discussed this with him as well. So, he could easily be traded during the season or at the trade deadline. They might get just as much or more for him then. So it's hard to say. There's definitely teams that have been out there inquiring a decent amount of them, but I wonder at this point if they don't like Calgary's asking price, that they try to address their needs during free agency. I mean, like I said, Aaron Ekblad's a prime right shot candidate that could be out there, and there's a few others as well. And for those who don't address their need in free agency, maybe they circle back, July 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and see if they can't, pull together an Andersson trade. And then if things don't materialize, maybe it does wait. Calgary here and Craig Conroy just appear to be super, super patient with this. So we'll have to see where things go. Now, staying with Calgary for a minute, there's also a report from Nick Kyprios indicating that a number of teams, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, have inquired with the Calgary Flames on the availability of Nazem Kadri. Now, Kadri has been a pretty good player for the Flames the past couple of years after signing a 7-year free agent contract with them. I can understand why teams would inquire. At this point, I know during his first season there, when things kind of started to really take a step back, obviously the team wasn't as good as a lot of people thought. And I think there were times when he kind of showed signs of a little bit of, in my opinion at least, of being frustrated. And since then, though, things have gotten better. Calgary didn't make the playoffs this past year, but they were a better team. They've obviously made a lot of changes, and he hasn't really expressed, that I've seen at least, any kind of desire to be moved, because he does have protection. He will have a say if anything like this happens. In Calgary, for a team that's kind of, improved last year, I don't know really where they fit here. I mean, they might be a team that kind of is going to be trying to get into the playoffs this year. So trading Kadri doesn't make them a better team. So it depends on what the offer would be. But for a team like Toronto, I can understand why they would inquire. They are looking for a centerman, and a lot of teams are. And they're looking at a team like Calgary, who's kind of that mushy middle. You're not really. Some teams there's just not as much of a clear direction. Are they rebuilding? Are they not? They're going to retool. Would a veteran here want to move? So I get that. So I can understand why teams might inquire. But I honestly think it's going to take a pretty good offer for the Flames to seriously consider it. But with the Leafs losing Marner, obviously they got Knies and Tavares locked up on pretty good contracts. They definitely want to address their depth down the middle. Bringing Kadri back would be a tremendous pickup for them. I have no doubt I see the fit. I think the contract works well for them. He's been productive into his older part of his career here. He's got a Stanley Cup on his resume. I think he's learned a ton since he's left Toronto. So I understand the desire, the likingness, the fit, all that. I'm not sure what the Leafs would give Calgary to really make them pick up their kind of, make their ears pick up and go, oh, geez, maybe we really should look at this, So we'll see if that continues to be a thing. But with enough teams looking for centermen out there, teams are going to have to pony up a good offer, I think, to make that happen. But I can understand why Toronto would at least look into it. We know the Flames also have given Brad Treliving a pretty difficult time. There's been a number of players that he has tried to acquire from his former team during his tenure as the GM of the Leafs, and it's never worked out because it always seems like there's a Brad Treliving tax, if you will, to make the price higher. He tried to get Zadorov, he tried to get Tanev. Obviously, things, he got Tanev the long roundabout way through free agency, but getting a deal done with the Flames has been almost impossible for him. So I can just imagine what they'd ask for on that. But should they try? I can see why they would like the fit. Now over to the New York Islanders. A couple of things. One, I want to look at the Islanders for around what went on at the draft and what's rumored to be happening now. The New York Islanders, I know going into the draft, the big rumor was that they really wanted to try to figure out a deal to leave the draft with not only first overall pick Matthew Schaefer, but hometown talent James Higgins as well, and trying to get another first-round pick high enough to try to snag him in the draft. Of course, the Noah Dobson trade came about. They got the 2 first-rounders from the Montreal Canadiens, but of course they were not high enough to get Higgins on their own, and they were aggressively pursuing trades, though, to move up in the first round, even though they did not manage to pull it off. I know if there's any Islanders fans out there that are upset they couldn't get Higgins, they tried, and they tried really hard. They pushed for trades with both the Nashville Predators at 5, the Philadelphia Flyers at 6, and the Bruins at 7. The Bruins were the team to take them. The Predators and the Flyers obviously saw other options on the board that they liked better, so it wasn't a case of them trying to get Higgins and keep it from the Islanders. It was just a case of them concerned they weren't going to get the player they wanted if they moved back. Because those 2 first-rounders had pretty good value if you look at it in comparison, but it really boils down to who you want for a player. And if you really had your heart set on getting one of those other guys and you move back and you don't get them, then that's a step back for your team, and you're not going to do that. But they did push and they were aggressive. Thankfully, I think things worked out anyways. Yes, would it have been great to get a centerman like Higgins in your prospect pool? Absolutely would. He would be extra motivated to play for his hometown team. And maybe someday he does. But for right now, they ended up not being able to pull off a trade because those other teams would just not cooperate to the point where they could get a deal agreed to. And they ended up using both of their selections. And they got some really good players like Ekblad, who fell to them. That was a tremendous pickup. And Aitchison as well. To me, they did almost better. As much as Hagens is a good player, the combination of the two guys they got with the other picks, they walked out of there with a deeper prospect pool than they would have otherwise. So I hope everybody that cheers for that team can be happy for what Matthew Darche was able to pull off. The other thing, too, is with Noah Dobson. I know he ended up going to Montreal, but the Blue Jackets were pushing. It sounds like the Canadiens and the Islanders had a deal in place for a little bit longer than we probably knew, and that the Islanders were giving Columbus a chance to beat that deal before the draft got started so that they could have a chance to get the player. The offer, because Columbus had multiple first-rounders as well, that they were offering them their first-round picks and for Dmitry Voronkov. And the Islanders did not see that as a better deal. And the other thing that played a factor here as well is that Noah Dobson was an RFA, and no matter what, he didn't have trade protection, but all he has to say is, I don't really want to sign a contract with that team, and that kind of puts the deal off. So Dobson preferred to go to Montreal, agreed to sign to a contract there, which obviously kind of took the reins here in this trade. So ultimately, that's kind of where things all kind of fell to be. The other part of the Islanders piece I want to talk about today, Jeff Merrick, of course, a well-respected insider, also says that he believes that Scott Mayfield is on the market as well. They are trying to move him, which is not a shocker based on his utilization last year. If they can find a taker for Mayfield, right shot defensemen do come at a premium. I know they may not have been loving his game here lately, but there could be a market for him. Even though there was a lot of chatter before the draft about Jean-Gabriel Pageau, it seems like more likely than not that he's not moving. For one, they even had him at their draft party at their arena. If they're seriously thinking about trading this guy, why would they have him there? That just seems weird. But the rumors are now that they probably are not looking to do that. So the Islanders are, I guess, probably still tweaking the roster here, but overall, not too bad. Now, another player to watch, which at one point was linked to the Islanders and still could be, is Blues forward Jordan Kyrou. Kyrou does have about 4 to 5 teams that have been in pretty constant conversations with the Blues around his availability. He has a no-trade clause, as we've mentioned before, kicks in July 1st, so obviously, if the Blues are going to get a deal done, they'd like to do it before then, so between tonight and tomorrow. And, at this point, it's hard to say if it's going to come together. The Blues are not feeling like they really need to do this. This is more of a case of kind of gauging the market on a player before his trade protection kicks in, and also looking at what they could get to satisfy other needs on the team. The belief is if the Blues pull off this kind of trade, that they want a top 6 centerman coming back. I know I've seen when he was, because this player is another guy that was linked to Montreal, and I'm like, what would Montreal give St. Louis? They have an excess amount of defensemen now, but they don't have a centerman they can really trade. They need one themselves. So I'm not really sure why they would have been linked to Kyrou. To me, that never really made sense for the Habs. Looking at Demidov, and you got Laine, and you got Slavkovsky, and you got Caulfield. Where are you going to put Kyrou? Unless you're getting rid of Laine, which doesn't appear to be the case. Actually, he got married today. Congratulations to Patrick Laine on a separate side note. So I'm not quite sure about Kyrou. Other teams have been linked. Islanders were one of them. He could be a tremendous pickup for them or other teams. The guy's got blazing speed, and obviously he's been a pretty good point producer. So we'll see. Doug Armstrong is willing to entertain that, but needs a centerman coming back as a speculation there. And in Boston, could Morgan Geekie be an offer sheet target? A lot of the other offer sheet guys are slowly coming off the market here. Geekie is still no agreement with the Bruins. At the end of their season, they missed the playoffs, so their season's been over now for a few months. And based on comments from Don Sweeney, it sure sounded like they were pretty eager to get him re-signed after a career season. And yet they are still nowhere near a deal by the sounds of things. And we're only, like I said, just over a day away before free agency kicks in. If we get to July 1st, there's going to be a few players out there that are still unsigned. When I did my video looking at offer sheet targets back a couple weeks ago, I didn't see Geekie as a real high level candidate. I think I mentioned him as a honorable mention type of guy, because I just expected the Bruins to get this deal done because they seemed so eager to get it done when the season ended that I didn't think we would be here. So Geeky's a player to watch, and Pavel Zacha also another name to watch out as well. His name has been linked to trade talk, but again, I think it's more of a case if the Bruins can find a way to upgrade. Not convinced 100% that he gets moved, but now for example, if I don't know if they would like him or not, but Zacha is a center. If the Blues, it would take more than Zacha, but Zacha could be a starting point maybe for the Bruins to go to the Blues for Giroux. But again, he would be playing behind Pastrnak on the right side. I'm not sure really how that would all work out. But a player like that, so a package that would include a top six centerman would be something that what St. Louis needs. That's kind of what Boston's looking at too. So I'm not sure what exactly their end goal here is, but Zacha is a name. And the other player I'll mention briefly for offer sheets that might be a target is Will Cooley with the Rangers. There's still some speculation that there could be a team after him as well. So I know lots of information here today. Make sure you utilize all the timestamps in case you're not interested in every single topic here today, because there's lots on the menu. So certainly let me know your thoughts on all the news and rumors in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.